Welcome back to Sensei Steve Says, hosted by Shiage Do Martial Arts. Today we're going to be working on part 2 of our schoolyard self-defense. So today what we're going to be working on is working with the books that were in that book bag. Okay, not always do you get to carry a book bag, not always do you get to walk around with one. So we're going to use a couple of books to help learn some self-defense with that. So I got a decent hardcover book and I got a decent softcover book. You could also substitute this for a laptop. We're not using a laptop for our practice today. Obviously, you can expect to break a laptop, and I don't have that kind of money. So we're going to use just the book, but imagine that you can use it for all the same purposes as like a Chromebook or a tablet or something if you're using those for school. Okay, they've got some mass to them. They've got some rigidity. The chances of somebody punching through them are slight. But they probably will break, so just keep that in mind. So if you look at a book, you got a couple different things for it, right? So last time when I was talking about the using your book bag as kind of like body armor, your books are going to be a little bit different, right? So you've got your large flat surface, right, which if you hit somebody with that is going to have a very large surface, and it's going to cut your energy down that you can transfer into your opponent, right? So if force that you can generate is mass times acceleration, this is going to add a little bit of mass and slow down your acceleration just a smidge. But then you look at pressure equals force divided by area, right? So all that extra force that I might have been able to get because I've got a larger book and some extra mass is going to get cut significantly because now my striking area is significantly smaller hitting with the front. Now, I could hit with the side. My suggestion is not to hit with the page side, okay? If this opens and bends, you're going to be lost even if you're holding that side. So if you're holding that side from the start and striking with the spine of the book, you tend to stand a better chance of keeping the book together for a couple extra strikes before you have to treat it like a softcover book because the cardboard starts folding and everything like that. We'll get to that one in a second, but for now, we're going to do this as a hard book. So from here, I got a couple of options, right? Just like with the book bag, I can use it kind of as a shield. So as he comes in for a punch, right, I can block the punch with the book, right? If he comes in, whether it's the same, right, I can block it around his arm, I can block it into his arm, right? And either way, and that's going to give me a larger surface area here to block with, giving me a better chance of success, right? I'm not going to be able to do as much damage to his arm with my block, but I'll have a higher chance of success of actually being able to block it or slow his technique down before it hits him. Additionally, I can go, right, I can shoulder check and use this as like a mass weapon, just like your book bag would be, where you use it to shove somebody. I can use it to like, hey, look up here as I kick them down here. All that stuff that we talked about in the first video. But we're going to use this for a little bit different, right? So with the strong striking edge, right, I have two options. The first one is if he comes in for like a hook punch, right, if I block, I'll just bring this down so you guys can see, I have the ability to jam this into a soft target, right? Now if I hit him in a hard target, like his forehead, his solar plex, something like that, the chances of this doing a lot of damage are not very high. Because the book is going to fold and that's going to absorb a lot of your force. But if you go into a soft target, all the energy that is transferred is going to be the energy that's required to fold a book. Now, if you've ever tried folding a book by crushing it sideways, a hardcover at least, takes a considerable amount of effort to do that. So you're going to be able to transfer a lot of damage or a lot of force there, and that's going to be a place where that force is going to do you the most good in a fight. Right? So if he comes in, I can strike, boom, I can punch him in the throat. I can use it to kind of slap with, right? Again, that's going to be more for disorienting him than it is going to be for doing real damage, right? But if you get slapped upside the face and the ear with a large book like this, you might get dizzy. We talked about that in the critical targets video. Your ears house your balance sense. Right? So if you crush that and you start messing with that, they're going to start getting a little woozy. Is that going to win you the fight? Not by itself, but it's going to help. Okay? The other option, instead of punching straight in, is to use it as kind of like a whipping action and crushing in with the spine. Again, going for a soft target. So if he comes in with his punch, if I get my block in here, I can now pull on his arm here and crush in to strike at like the brachial plexus, the carotid plexus, or any of those, right? Or even just his jaw and crush through. It's not going to be as effective to hit a hard target like the jaw, but it's better than nothing if you miss. So for those two, some easy things to practice with this one is just when the punch comes in, the block and kick, right? You know, whether that's the knee or the pocket, the groin, the belly button, right? I don't necessarily want to try to get higher than that if I'm this close to him. I can kick him in the knee pretty easily from within an arm's distance, but it gets harder the closer we get to kick, right? Or I can just kick the far leg out because that gives me a little bit more space. The second thing we got is when the punch comes in, I'm going to strike a soft target with the side of the book or with the side of the book, all right? So that'll give you a couple of them to practice with that. Now, if you take a book and you crush it, right? I'm sure there was always that one kid in everybody's school class that sat there and like bent the cover back and forth and did all this stuff, right? Eventually it turns into a soft cover book, like this. If it's a soft cover book, you basically have a ream of paper in your hands. Your ability to block with it is still there, technically, but it's not going to be anywhere near as effective as your hardcover book. If he punches me here, I'm going to feel a lot more of that because the pages bend around his fist. Again, less than just getting punched in the skin. It's going to help you more than that, but you know, it's not the best thing in the world. So generally what I want to try to do is either fold it in half, right, which you can usually do pretty simply, or if it's a smaller book, roll it up, whatever fits best in your hand. Now with this, there's a trick to it. I don't necessarily have a ton of time to go, oh, I'm in a fight, hang on. Ready. Right? I don't necessarily have time for that. But if I'm carrying a book, right, I can fold it and grab it in one quick motion, you know, depending on how big the book is or whatever. Or, you know, if it's a magazine, you know, if I'm carrying it folded in half, then that's what I've got to work with. Maybe instead of rolling it, I just fold it twice, right? I fold it once and then I stick my thumb in and I crush it with my hands, and now I have my striking implement that's a little bit sturdier. I'm not going to take a ton of time to sit here and just go, all right, let's make it extra small and roll it all up, all right? But holding it in one hand, I've got a couple of options. The first one is to do a punch, right? So I can use this more like a kubutan, all right? A kubutan is a metal piece that you hold in your hand. I don't have one handy. You hold it in your hand and it reinforces your knuckles to punch with, right? It's kind of like a set of brass knuckles, but without the pieces on the outside. Ask Grandpa about punching some guy with a roll of dimes in his hand. I'm sure either he knows exactly what I'm talking about, or, you know, because he's used them or been hit by them. It happened to everybody. It was a big time in the old days, right? Roll of dimes was a great tool. This is basically the same thing, right? I've got a big force in my hand. I can come in and punch. Now, unfortunately, because this is a particularly large book, the knuckles that I get to punch with are not going to be my favorites. They're not going to be the ones that are trained. So the chances of me possibly breaking my hand if I hit a hard target is pretty high, right? So I'm going to go for soft targets only when I'm trying to punch with this in my hand. Now, theoretically, I could use this as a baton. If he comes in with a punch or something to smash into it, right? The bigger the book, the better the chance that it's going to do something. But this is like a dead blow hammer, okay? A dead blow hammer is a rubber mallet filled with sand so that when it hits, it doesn't bounce back off. This is going to transfer all the force, but you're going to potentially ruin your weapon and potentially, because it'll fold in half if you use it as a baton. So be careful with that. You might only get one shot, and it might not be that useful for you. What would be much more useful is using it for the pommel, right? So if he comes in to punch, right, as I come in to block, coming across, and and using this mass to help add to my hand because of the mass, right? So that's going to be a better chance for that. So I could either punch with this or I can hammer fist with this. Those are probably going to be my best choices. If it's a magazine, it's going to work better for punching. If it's a heavy book, it's going to work better for the hammer fist. But if you want a couple of these to practice, you can just start with a hook punch comes to the head, and then a punch to the solar plex, or you can jam it up in their throat, or it comes in, you block with 2 arms and come across to the side of the jaw with the book. The chances of you doing some damage with that are actually pretty high. Okay, now this isn't anything special. All right, it's just a book, but I can use this as an effective self-defense weapon, just like any of the other improvised weapons that we talked about in one of my improvised weapons class. Right, using the stuff that you have on you to help guarantee your success, so that you can get away from a fight, is encouraged. Right, so karate means empty hand. I should be able to defend myself with an empty hand. However, there are some things that affect that. If the bad guy is a foot taller than me and has never missed leg day and, outmasses me, by at least 80 pounds, the chances of me being able to throw a punch and hurting him enough that I can get away are probably not super high, right? I have my targets that are going to give me a better chance, but I might still lose, right? I can be quick, I can move around, but you can only, the chances of you being able to block forever are 0, right? Eventually that chance gets lower and lower and lower, and you're going to get hit. And once you get hit, it really sucks. So your best bet is to come up with the things that you already have on you, whether it's your backpack or a book or a pen or whatever, to do some self-defense with that. Now, obviously, like plastic pens and stuff like that have their uses. You generally only get one use out of it. That's why I chose to do books and backpacks, because that's something that you can continue to use throughout the entirety of a fight, with a good chance of it still being present on the other end of the fight. A plastic pen, you'll get one good shot with it. As soon as you stab him on the neck. Okay. I don't know how many people have ever tried to stab something with a pencil, but if you just stab a desk with a pencil, it shatters into about 1,000 pieces, right? One of those plastic mechanical ones, right? If you do that with a pen, it does the same thing, right? So if I stab into a person, am I going to do damage? Probably. If it didn't kill him, though, I just lost my weapon. So, keep that stuff in mind, too. All right, with that, that's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for tuning in. You guys are dismissed. Us!